get your house in order, every single one of you. What's wrong with you? If you have a problem, all you need to do is spend, millions of dollars, go to a clinic. They can give you a little bit of rehab, some lovely rehab. It's wonderful and delightful. If they refuse for whatever reason, well then you go to Russia. Go to Russia and then they'll do all the wonderful things. They'll clean up your room. They'll clean up your mind.
She controls the rights to the Harry Potter franchise. She controls the sort of the way that the franchise is represented. She controls the essential decision-making capacity. And so the buck stops with her and she makes the money from it, which means she can't actually be cancelled if anyone else wants to make any money off Harry Potter.
Shit. So has she constructed her business to be like Universal Studios got to come to me when they want to do a new theme park and the merchandising
and she gets to be able to sign off on the sort of tenor and tone of the thing as well. Does it fit with the mythos, which gives her phenomenal power over the Harry Potter franchise, as I understand it. If I'm wrong, someone in the comments correct me, but I looked into this recently because I did a bit of a thing, a few segments on them trying to cancel her, and they can't cancel her because if they cancel her, nobody gets any Harry Potter. And I mean, probably billions of people want Harry Potter, at least hundreds of millions at the very least. She's probably like the most successful British author ever. So there's just no cancelling her because she holds this point of leverage, and industries die if they don't get what she's providing. And so the activists on Twitter have been whining impotently.
Wait, is he just proving that cancel culture isn't real? Is that what we're having in real time? Because that would be nice. Then we can drop all this. We can stop talking about this as if it's a real thing. I'm not saying that there isn't aspects. I mean, different people define cancel culture as different things. There are certainly certain definitions of cancel culture which are just wildly inappropriate and makes no sense, and other ones where I'm like, okay, well, I understand what you're trying to say here, whether or not I agree or disagree with you. But I think he's disproving the conservative version of it.
And it's been very amusing to watch, to be honest. And J.K. Rowling, for anyone who doesn't know, her high crime refers back to what we were talking about with the definition of woman. She made the argument that woman is adult human female, and if you get rid of that, you get rid of women's rights activism, which is not wrong. And
well, it is, and it's turfy. It's turfy to turf. But yeah, I know. They fall within the same category. I love that all the neckbeards, by the way, who are all like, I hate my feminism, screeching feminists, compilation number 6. Oh, look at the feminist tears. I drink them, and it's the only thing that gets me hard now. Every single one of them is now like, I'm actually, no, I'm deeply concerned about the rights of women. I've always been concerned about women. No. Yes, I love women. I love them, and I want them to have the freedom to be able to be my trad wife and to be able to give birth upon whatever I so desire. So I'm here for the rights of women and their ability to maintain their eggs.
This makes her a horrible TERF.
Do you not think that it's mad? You've got J.K. Rowling was very much in the zeitgeist at the time, though. She's current and doing stuff. Jordan Peterson had been in rehab for 18 months. And people had just taken this heritage of him. Again, Shapiro, like Ben does his thing. Like he's out there talking about stuff. Jordan had been in Russia tied to a bed trying to...
My British accent is not posh. I'll show you posh, each one of you. Well, I'm going to do slogging like this from now on. Oh, hi, I'm slogging of a card.
Trying to sweat drugs out of his system.
Yeah, but I think J.K. Rowling is just the most obvious and easy example to pin down, right? Because you can see exactly the linchpin. That when J.K. Rowling gives up the right to make editorial decisions about Harry Potter franchise, she's cancelled, right? But it's not so easy with people like Jordan Peterson and Ben Shapiro because their staying power is based on something a bit more intangible. It's respect and influence and sort of gravitas.
And that can be manipulated with the right disinformation campaign.
Absolutely. Which I think is why the Times recently put out a lie about him being diagnosed with schizophrenia, an attempt to discredit him as an intellectual, as in his mind is somehow, insecure and he's not sane or something like this. This wasn't true. Jordan Peterson released the full interview with the Times. I listened to it. He didn't say that he'd been diagnosed with schizophrenia.
I haven't seen that yet. What's the
well,
headline?
you can actually go to.
I was like, I'm sure he's pretty much aware that Jordan Peterson actually checked himself into rehab for substance abuse, something that he was pretty vocally against. I mean, his definition, or I guess advice to people, would be just clean up your room, pick yourself up from your bootstraps, and stop being an addict. Your pores was kind of the idea. But then it turned out that he not only entered rehab himself, but that he actually didn't want to have to go through some of the worst parts of withdrawal. At which point he went for an experimental therapy in Russia, because doctors in the United States probably wouldn't have administered it. In which you basically put yourself into a medically induced coma for several, I believe he was under it for a week. I was going to say several days though, and to avoid the worst parts of the crash, and at which point you can be resuscitated out of the medically induced coma.
At Caesar.com, and we've got an article refuting this on there, because it's just not true. The Times has claimed that he was diagnosed with schizophrenia. He hasn't been. I don't know why that they're claiming this, but I can only assume that they're making up this outright lie in order to damage his public prestige as an intellectual, in order to discredit him within conservative circles and the wider sort of normie public, in order to essentially just get rid of him, because he doesn't agree with certain things, does he?
Fuck, man, that makes me feel so uncomfortable, Like, that guy's been through hell over the last 18 months, and you sit down to have an interview. I haven't seen the interview yet, but, like...
It's on his YouTube channel. It's just the audio.
Yeah, I noticed it was black screen when I rolled over a preview. It's in my watch later. But yeah, man, that makes me so uncomfortable. Like, it shouldn't be the case that someone who's been through absolute hell comes back, and because people don't like his ideas, which for anyone who's ever read anything that Jordan's done are not controversial. He's got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours of him lecturing students available on the internet. Go through. Like, scrape out, at least with Shapiro, he has that webpage on his site of all of the things he's ever said, which he now regrets or wishes that he hadn't said or whatever, which I also think is quite a noble thing to do.
It's a good idea as well, to be honest.
No one ever has, there's no rogue tweet from Peterson. There's no lingering...
Oh, the fun. We have so many to choose from.
Sort of bodies in the cupboard for people to get out. There's just misinterpretation. That's all that they have left.
Chat, send it my way. I'll pull up some of my favorites. I'll pull up some of my favorites. I mean, one of the ones that I've got just on the dial already. Shall we? Intelligence and semen quality. Listen up, girls. Like... A little weird, a little weird, but sure. Drink my cup runneth over, every single one of you.
The more situations that occur like that, where unwarrantedly people come after prominent public figures, that they don't succeed, because there's been a few periods, you yourself included, where it has succeeded.
Yeah, I mean, the point about Jordan Peterson, what he has been through has been the consequence of a media harassment campaign against him. The reason that he fell into this hole, and for any, I mean, like, I only have sort of a middling fame on the internet and in the wider world, but even from my middling position, I mean, you can...
Oh yeah, I forgot about this racist one he did way back when. I think this is one of the few ones he's deleted. I could be wrong on that though. Greg Hurwitz, it's good that you consumed the liquor this time and instead of letting some Indian steal it. And he was referring to indigenous people when he tweeted this, by the way. You
can see how grey the beard is, right? Like, it wasn't this grey like 2 or 3 years ago. I'm not even joking. It's really stressful. It's very stressful when you have a lot of eyes on you and there's a lot of pressure coming at you. And Peterson is like, 10 times bigger than I'll ever be. And so it's one of those things that's, if it's bad enough for where I am, it must have been really difficult for him. And you, like you were saying, go and watch his stuff. You can tell that he's a very emotionally aware person, and he probably has to be a clinical psychologist. So he's very emotionally connected to things and to other people, and he cares about these things. He's cried on live streams when thinking about other people's suffering.
Peterson on the Texas Blackouts? A warning to Canada. Jordan Peterson shares thoroughly debunked thread from a totally disreputable source. I guess windmills are not one of our traditional modes of being. With blackouts across Texas, many are wondering what happened. Leftists are cheering a red state having energy problems. Here's the truth about what happened. A thread. What? You retweeted Dan Crenshaw's? This was so thoroughly debunked. In fact, this was such a wonderful collection of like every single Koch brothers backed fuel industry pseudo-scientific claim about climate change in one thread. Like Dan Crenshaw actually did a service to everybody by collecting them all into one place, and it was just completely and utterly debunked. Like the internet was just like, oh fun, here we go, we see through you. But a warning for Canada, it's coming here soon.
And stuff like this, unashamedly, and it's very brave actually to do this. And I've seen lots of leftists mocking him for showing his feelings. So, well, hang on a second, I thought that's what you wanted out of men. What are you doing? Don't, when he opens up, don't stab him. Christ. But yeah, for Peterson, I can understand why this was just too much for him to handle. Why he ended up falling down this sort of rabbit hole and having to spend a lot of effort dragging himself back up. And like you say, if you watch any of his stuff, he's essentially giving you the sort of like best dad advice that can be given. Get your house in order.
Ultimate dad, isn't he?
He is, but it's great advice for young people, not just young men, but I think young men need it more than young women, because there are lots of social support structures for young women everywhere because of feminism. But young men definitely, I think, need this kind of guidance where it's like, look, get your house in order, sort yourself out, clean your room, get on the business end of actually doing something and improving your life. And I've taken his advice.
Get your house in order, every single one of you. What's wrong with you? If you have a problem, all you need to do is spend, millions of dollars, go to a clinic. They can give you a little bit of rehab, some lovely rehab. It's wonderful and delightful. If they refuse for whatever reason, well then you go to Russia. Go to Russia and then they'll do all the wonderful things. They'll clean up your room. They'll clean up your mind.
And it really does work. It's just about taking responsibility for yourself. And if that's his high crime and that's the great offense that Jordan Peterson has committed, well, I guess we're all in trouble, aren't we?
Like, I wish that was it. No, does everyone forget that Jordan Peterson rose to fame based on this entire strange transphobic arc where he lied about Canadian law and said that Bill C-16 in Canada was going to result in mass incarceration and that tons of people were going to be locked up for not using the proper pronouns like Z and Zer and Fey and Fim, and they were all like, no, this is going to be the end of modern civilization as we know it. That's what made Jordan Peterson explode into the scene. That's where all of a sudden Sam Harris was like, I got to get this guy on my show. Yeah, no, I got it. And all of a sudden every single right-wing pundit, Dave Rubin put him on a show, and Ben Shapiro wanted to interview him, and suddenly he was the darling child of the intellectual dark web. He was the one they'd all been waiting for, and it was a lie. It was a complete and utter lie. The amount of people who've gone to jail under Beale's C-16 in Canada still remains at zero. As of this recording, it's still 0 people have gone to jail in Canada for a bill that ultimately was just adding definitions to the hate speech laws in this country. Like, no one's been oppressed by Bill C-16. It's been fine. If you want us to advertise your channel or work, please go to weareserfs.com and email us a 20 to 30 second ad, and we'll take it on to the end of one of our videos to help promote your leftist channel or progressive something. Whatever you do.
To our gods, I'm Raph, Xander Corvus, Schlatsky, we look to the stars for your divine guidance. To our monarch, Tom Spiker, we are merely puppets for your amusement. To our lords, Trevor R., Alexander Thaler, Hans Josephine, Ryan Lubin, Timothy K. Meeblebeeps Jr., Bisexual Black Gamer, and Tofox, we shall carry your banner into the fog of war. To our Knights of the Round Table, Josh Mickelson, Zach Christensen, Todd Buckingham, Todd Lajeunesse, Political Puppy, Jimmy Bignuts, Andreas Chiringuito, Yoppie, Violent Orchard, Sophie Baby, Thomas Barrington, J. Fraser Cartwright, Goofalankius, Melissa Murphy, Nicholas Marks, Radical Maniac, The Great Pudini, Kale Kotka, Anthropophagic, Serene 42, Chronic de Hemphog, Phone Jenny, Incosin, Constance Joyce Lacheris, and Ramon Acosta, we drink with you and we salute you.